Hey friends, it's Robin. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are refilming my January releases because apparently my microphone is on the fritz and didn't record any audio the first time through. Hopefully my voice isn't too terrible. If you watched my January TBR or have been following me over on Instagram, you know that I rang in the new year with a really nasty case of strep throat. We're just getting over it, but I really want to get this video up since I missed the entire first week of January thanks to strep throat. So we're trying to get caught up. There's going to be a lot of videos coming out like pretty consistently in January. I'm trying to not drop any of the end of the year content. It's kind of a good thing that I waited because I ended up having some additional books added to the list. So there are 17 January releases that I'm personally really excited for. If you haven't seen one of my new release videos before, this isn't some sort of like collective all-inclusive list. These are just the books that I am personally excited for. So there's going to be a lot of big titles and things that you're not going to see on here. And that's just because they're not the books that I'm going to be picking up this month. We are going to go through each of these in release date order, starting with January 2nd, which is already passed. Hi. Can I have this, please? Okay. Which has already passed since this video is going up very late. But the first book is Last Call at the Local by Sarah Grendier Ruiz. This is actually the, I think like second or third book in a series. I didn't know that when I requested this book for review. So I'm really hoping that these can be read as standalones. I feel like nowadays most romance series, like contemporary romance series, are a group of standalones. My cat is coming for me. Hi. Can we talk about January releases, please? But I feel like most contemporary romances nowadays are companion novels set in the same world, but not necessarily connected plot-wise. So hopefully that's the case with this one. I actually requested this one because the heroine in this book has ADHD. Okay, it's enough of you. This year, I really want to make sure that I am including neurodiversity and disability/chronic illness rep in my reading more because I feel like that's where I was lacking the most last year. So this one is following a heroine who is a singer-songwriter, and something happens while she is traveling in Europe and her career is kind of on the line, and she ends up meeting this like bar pub owner in Ireland, and he has OCD, and the two of them end up working together to like revive this pub bar that he owns, and I believe they have a romance. And then the other book is actually a re-release, and that is Ever After Always by Chloe Leese, which is book 3 in her Berkman Brothers series. This was the first book in the Berkman Brothers that I personally gave 5 stars, and every book since this one has been 5 stars. This is a Marriage on the Rocks romance, and we are following this married couple who have gotten to this point in their marriage where they are struggling to communicate. They both have these ideas of what the other person expects and needs from them, and rather than continuing their communication, they are drifting apart, and they end up going on this trip together and rekindling their romance. I really, really loved this one. The hero is kind of oblivious and in his head and worships the ground that the heroine walks on, but just isn't showing her that in the right way. This series is getting these beautiful recovers, and they are all coming out pretty quickly. I think it's like 2 books a month leading up to the final book in this series. On to January 9th, we have 3 books coming out. First is Don't Want You Like a Best Friend by Emma R. Albin, and this is a sapphic historical romance. Historical romance is not like my preferred genre. I don't pick it up very often, but if I am going to pick it up, I really want it to be a diverse historical romance, whether it is queer or a BIPOC or neurodiversity or mental health rep. I am always looking for that if I'm going to be picking up a historical romance. Essentially, these 2 heroines don't want to be debutantes, and so in order to like get out of potential marriages, they decide to set their parents up together, and they end up falling in love instead. It sounds so cute. This cover isn't my favorite. I feel like it looks a little bit young, and so I'm not sure what I'm going to get with this one, but the synopsis intrigues me enough that I'm definitely going to pick this one up and give it a try. Plus, one of my 2024 goals, hopefully that video is coming up either next or at the end of this week. I can't remember which, but one of my goals is to continue prioritizing debut and new to me authors, so the next book on this day is Red String Theory by Lauren Kung Jessen. And this is a book that I didn't originally have on my radar, but I was watching a Forever preview event, and so many people were absolutely gushing about this book that I ended up adding it to my TBR. It is a fated mates sort of romance. It's a contemporary story following this heroine who believes in the red string theory, which is essentially that there is an invisible red string tying you to your one person. And she is having a star-crossed romance with a hero who I think works for NASA, if I'm remembering correctly, and he doesn't believe in fate. And the two of them kind of have this kismet sort of romance where they keep running into each other. And it sounds really, really cute. Like I said, I've heard such amazing things about this book. And then the last book on this day is one that I'm mildly hesitant for now, which is Lucky Bounce by Kate Neri, because this, on the other hand, has not been getting the greatest reviews, but it sounds so cute. So I'm still going to give it a try. Plus, I do have an arc of this one. This is an hockey romance following a single dad hockey player, and his daughter's new teacher is a really big fan of his, and they have a teacher single dad romance. And I'm in the mood for something fun and light and funny. So hopefully this one ends up working out for me. On to January 16th. First, we have Say You'll Be Mine by Naina Kumar. This is another debut author, so I'm not 100% if I'm pronouncing this name correctly, but I will be listening to the audiobook for this, so I will know for sure once I get to this one. We're following this heroine who has to attend the wedding to an ex who asks her to be his best man because they are still friends. And in order to survive said wedding, she ends up recruiting this guy who is an engineer, and his family is on his back to get married, but he doesn't think that marriage is for him. And so the two of them end up having a fake engagement to get their families and everyone off their backs, and obviously fall in love. This is also own voices for the Indian representation, and I just think it's going to be really cute. It says that it's a delightful trip back to the heyday of swoony romantic comedies from the 90s, and I do have this one as an audio arc. Hopefully I'll be getting to this one soon as well. And then the other book on this day is The Villain Edit by Sarah Brenton, which is the third book in her over-the-top love series. It looks like this is the last book. It says The Villain Edit is the third and final book in the over-the-top love series and can be read as a standalone. Fake dating, road trip, celebrity romance, featuring a starchy hero who isn't what he seems and an unlikable heroine on a reluctant path to redemption. I really enjoyed the first book. I'm really loving the second book, so I'm excited to pick up the final book. And then the only non-Tuesday release that I have is January 18th, and that is The Bastard and the Heir by Eden Finley and Saxon James. I have no idea if this is a standalone one. It doesn't have a series listed. I'm assuming it's still part of their Satanverse world because all of their books are. But all I know about this one is the little tagline. It says that it is an angsty romance between two men who are absolutely, positively not related. We're going to see where it goes. I read everything that these two release, so I'm excited for another book from them. The big release day this month is January 23rd. There are 6 books being released. I have the other cat now over here. Hi, Maggie. Can you move and stop nudging my camera? This is going well. The first one is No One Can Know by Kate Alice Marshall, which is actually my current audiobook. We're following this couple who are falling onto hard times. The heroine discovers that she is pregnant, even though her and her husband were not trying to have children. And at the same time, her husband got laid off from his job, and they just lost $10,000 because they put in a down payment on a house, only they can't afford said house anymore. And she reveals that she has this giant mansion that her parents were brutally murdered in, and the two of them decide to move into this mansion. And when they get there, this dark past starts to be revealed. She is estranged from her two sisters, and you know that something bad happened when her parents were killed, and you are slowly figuring out what happened all those years ago. The next book is The Breakup Tour by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broca. This is a rock star-esque romance, I guess. It's a second chance romance between a heroine who is a singer-songwriter and her ex-husband thinks that like her big breakout hit, like breakup song, was about him, and she doesn't want him to believe that since it was actually about her college ex. And so she reaches out to said college ex and she asks if she can tell everyone who the song is about, and he says yes, as long as he can join her on tour, and the two of them end up touring together and falling back in love. It sounds really cute. I will say that the famous person trope isn't my favorite, but if anyone can pull off a good second chance romance, it's going to be these two, since they are a married couple and have convinced me to enjoy some tropes that I normally don't love. Then we have Feybound by Sarat El Arifi, and this is a adult fae romance. I think it's the start of a duology if I'm remembering correctly. Maggie, can you not please? The lamp is already broken. Thank you. And one of the sisters is like working to become a diviner or a seer, and the heroine of the book ends up making this like big mistake, and her sister get banished to the Feylands. And when they get there, they realize that the Fey are not actually gone, because everyone thought that the Fae were like a myth, and they end up getting swept up into the land of the Fae. And I believe there is at least one sapphic romance in here. I think like the main romance is a sapphic romance. It sounds fantastic. I know Ray from the Bookmore Chronicles loves this author, and so I'm really excited to get an adult romance from them. And I did actually just get an arc of this sent to me, so I am ridiculously excited to pick this one up as soon as possible. Then we have The Fake Dating Game by Timothy Janofsky. Timothy Janofsky was an author that I read for the first time in 2023. New Adult was a 5-star book. I absolutely loved that book. And this one is a like dating show game, but they're fake dating. This opens up with one of our heroes who is like having this meltdown because he is about to audition for this game show, and his boyfriend breaks up with him right at the beginning of the book, and now he feels like he's going to miss his one opportunity at this game show. And I think it's like the concierge who delivers like the food to his hotel room agrees to be his fake boyfriend and do the show with them, and they have like this immediate spark and connection, and I think they fall in love on the game show, which just sounds so cute. As somebody who grew up in the 90s watching the Game Show Network every time that they were homesick, this just sounds like such a cute and sweet and comforting romance. Then we have Wildlife by Opal Way, which is another contemporary romance. We're following a heroine who is, I think, in like cancer research, and somehow some of her like lab stuff gets sent to this hero who is in like animal conservation research, something like that. And she ends up going to this like remote island where he does all of his work, and the two of them end up getting like stuck on this remote island together. It sounds really cute. I've never read a premise anything like this, and so I'm really hoping that this one ends up being a win. I've never read from this author before. I know that they do write under an additional pen name as well, and I always love anything that has women in STEM, since that's what I do, and I actually do medical research as well, so I'm just really excited for this book. I think it's going to be a really good time. And then the last book on this day is another re-release, and that is With You Forever by Chloe Leese. This is my favorite book of the Bergman brothers. This one is following a heroine who has, I couldn't remember if it was Crohn's or ulcerative colitis. They are extremely similar, but I'm pretty sure she has UC. And this is a marriage of convenience romance, and the heroine has kind of always carried a torch for the hero, and so she agrees to get married to him. And not only is the slow burn romance in here absolutely amazing, but the neurodiversity rep in here is also fantastic. The hero is on the spectrum, and the chronic illness rep in here is just 10 out of 10 amazing. There is a scene in this book that will live in my heart forever, where the heroine has to go in for an infusion, and the hero goes with her even though he's scared of needles, and then just like takes care of her It was just such a like special moment in a book because at no point in this book is like her chronic illness ever an issue in their relationship. It's not something they have to like get over or work through. It's just something that he is like there to support her through, and it just warmed my heart. And then the last release date of the month is January 30th. We have one final re-release, and that is Heart Song by TJ Klune, which is the third book in the Green Creek series. This is hands down my favorite of the series. This book made me sob my eyes out, not like a little bit of tears and not like one time. I sobbed, like full on cried, needed to be checked on by my husband like 3 times, and then still just like general tears throughout the rest of this book. I'm not going to talk about the synopsis for this one because it is very spoilery for the rest of the series, but this series as a whole is following this family of werewolves move back to Green Creek after being away for a while, and what happens when the pack returns to Green Creek. The romances in here are fantastic. We also have a hero who is Ace, and the Ace rep in here is really like just it's a fact of their relationship. It's not something that he's discovering. It's not something that they are trying to work through or anything like that. It's just a part of who he is, and it's a part of their romance. The audiobooks for this entire series are still out. It's just physical copy is coming out on the 30th. Next, we have Canadian Boyfriend by Jenny Holiday, which is a hockey romance. We're following this heroine who is an ex-ballerina, and as a teenager, she met the hockey player at like the Mall of America for like child athletes or something like that. And in order to like be cool and get like everyone off her back, she started telling everyone that he was her Canadian boyfriend. Flash forward many years later, she is no longer a dancer, but he is a professional hockey player, and she ends up being like his daughter's ballet teacher or something like that. And suddenly her Canadian boyfriend is here, and they end up fake dating. And it sounds really cute. I know that this one does deal pretty heavily with eating disorder and body dysmorphia, so content warning for that if you are planning to pick this one up. And then the last book on this list is a book that just got added to my TBR last night, and that is Follow Me to the Utree by Desiree M. Nicolai. And this is another book featuring ulcerative colitis, which just honestly makes me want to cry. The fact that there are 2 books on this new releases with ulcerative colitis rep makes me want to sob. But this is actually an Own Voices story for the chronic illness rep as well. It is a really short fantasy romance novella, and we are following this like fated mates sort of romance. I haven't read the synopsis for this one, and I'm actually not going to be reading the synopsis for this one because I am going to be reading this in a vlog that I am starting Monday. So I don't want to read the synopsis for this one yet because it will spoil me for that vlog. If you want more details on that book, there will be links for all of the books down in the description box, or you can check out that vlog that will be coming right towards the end of January where I read 10 fantasy romance books. So that's going to be it for this new releases video. Hopefully my voice isn't too terrible. I feel like I'm talking really quietly because I don't want to strain my voice because I still need to film one more video today. Let me know if you added any of these to your TBR or if any of these were already on your TBR. Thank you all so much for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, I will see you in my next one. Bye.